Welcome to my talk on balance exercises and exercises you can do to maintain stability. Remembering that if we have any injuries, if we have any chronic pain, osteoarthritis, those are all, and as we age, those are all risk factors for falls and for falling. What we want to do today is kind of address some exercises and activities to help with vestibular, so inner ear balance, and your legs and feet balance. So we're going to combine some balancing exercises with some general strengthening exercises. One of the most important factors to determine whether you're going to have risk at fall or not is lower extremity strength, as well as awareness of where your legs are and middle ear issues. So we're going to try and address all those factors in this talk. Today we're going to start by warming up, so I'm going to have you warm up for about 2 minutes, and with a warm up you're just going to walk in place or just gently get your body moving to get the blood flowing, so that if you've been sitting, you get up and you move around for a couple of minutes. After we warm up, then we're going to start some balance exercises. Let's say that's 2 minutes worth of warm up there. Now the first thing I want you to do is just high stepping. So we're going to high step just in place. As I'm stepping in place, I'm actually strengthening my muscles in the front of my legs, and I'm working my balance. I'm trying to stand on one leg for a short period of time. You're going to do this. If you feel unstable, you can hold with one hand or a couple fingers on a solid table, solid counter, or a solid wall. The walls work really well. For a lot of the exercises we're going to do is we're going to kind of go into a corner, or if you feel unstable, use a corner so that if you start to fall, you're not going to fall onto the ground. You have that stability. Okay, so there's our high stepping. We can do, it depends on your level of activity, anywhere from 5, 10 to 50. I often will, for an exercise in the clinic, give 20 to 50 repetitions of this. Okay, that's that one. Now we're going to do what's just called slow walking, or almost like slow motion walking. You're going to walk, again, anywhere from 10 to 20 feet, turn around and come back. But it's just like you're walking slow motion, and you can combine this with high stepping as well. But as you're taking your time with your walking, you're allowing your leg to stabilize, maintaining balance. So again, this is only going to be 10 to 20 feet. The next activity is going to be standing with your feet together. So I want your heels and toes touching each other. If you need to hold on to a counter or a wall, again, do so. Trying to use as little weight, being over close to it, but as little as possible to challenge your balance. But everything is done based on your level. And so when you're doing balance exercises, you should be assessed as well if you feel unstable by a physiotherapist or a physician before you get started. But we're going to start with feet together, heels and toes touching, cross your arms. Now, you're going to do this exercise just standing. If you're fairly stable like this, you can challenge it by closing your eyes. And then you're going to hold your eyes anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds. If you're still really stable and really want to work it, you can try and do 30 seconds, up to about 30 seconds, even a minute at a time. But this is one that you might, if you're feeling a little unstable, you might want to do in the corner, so that if you start to lose balance, you can stabilize and you're not going to fall. You can use the wall. Another way of challenging this is by standing on an uneven or an unlevel surface, or a soft surface. So if you have a good firm kind of pillow at home, or something for the Chesterfield, a cushion, then you can use that to stand. So what I've got here is a couple different surfaces that I use in the clinic. This is an air-filled saucer that's really good for working balance, and this is which is a little more unstable. This foam is a high-density foam pad that you can use to stand on as well. These are available on Amazon as well, or at fitness stores and or places. Well, many fitness stores will have them as well. Sports stores, you may find them at those as well. Now, this is the same thing. What we're going to do is we have a softer surface, so we're going to be standing. You can do this with shoes on or off at this point. Eyes open or closed. The same thing happens, and now it's a little more challenging. Even for me, I feel a little wobbly. So we can stand for 10 to 20 seconds or 30 seconds in this position. And expect to have a little bit of play side to side, forward to back, but nothing excessive. If you're feeling really excessively off, not steady, you might want to continue just with a flat floor surface first. Okay? Now, another way of challenging that, standing with your feet together, we call that Romberg stance in the physio world as well. But another way of challenging that is with head turns. So if I cross my arms and I'm standing with my heels and toes together, that's one way of challenging the balance. But now when I start to turn my head left to right, I can vary the speed based on where I'm at. Typically when we're doing vestibular training or ear training, balance training, we're going to set at about 1 to 2 hertz. So 1 to 2 per second. So I can speed that up to make it a little more challenging. I'm only going to go about 30 degrees each direction, back and forth. And I can do this for about 30 seconds to a minute, unless I start to get symptoms of dizziness, nausea. If I start to have symptoms of dizziness or nausea, I want you to stop, rest. If your symptoms abate or settle back down within 5 minutes, that's fine. You can do another set of those, of that same number, but don't increase the numbers. At home, sometimes we use a 15 or 20 minute rule for your symptoms to settle down, because there's a lot of other factors at home. So in the clinic, I usually say 5 minutes, but in home, it's 15 to 20 minutes. If your symptoms aren't settled down in that time, just stop your head movements and your middle ear training for the day, okay? So this is one way, and then we can also add nods. Again, about 30 degrees up and 30 degrees down. Variations on that. They're all challenging your balance. If those are all simple enough, you can also challenge with arm movements or bending in and out of your base of support. Your base of support is where your area between your 2 feet. So if I have my feet right close together, I have a very narrow base of support. So my center of gravity, my body, I can move out of that base of support quite easily because it's a narrow base. So that's one way of challenging, moving outside that base of support as well. So these are all variations that we can do with that narrow stance. Okay, now another thing that we want to do is start strengthening. So we're going to combine some of the strengthening with the balance exercises, and I'm going to move to a strengthening exercise now. This one, we're going to do 3-way leg kicks. Again, you can use a wall to support you, a table to support you, anything that's comfortable, solid to support you if you need to, one hand, but don't do an unsteady, like a chair or something that could tip on you. So I'm not going to use anything. I'm going to attempt to do this without anything to work my balance. I'm going to stand on my left leg, bring my right leg off the ground, and I'm going to just do leg swings forward. And we'll do, maybe to strengthen this, maybe 10 to 20 at most. I like to do things with high repetition and low load, because we're re-educating muscles to fire, we're retraining muscles and nerve systems to fire and work. So that's what we're going to do, trying to maintain my balance. So if that was 10 or 20, I would stop. I'm going to go to the side. I'm going to do leg swings to the side. You could also do either side and swing through to really challenge the balance. And then after 10 or 20 of those, we're going to go. And again, I say 10 or 20, but if you're feeling tired or challenged after 5, that would be your starting number. That's where you start. Every few days, you might want to add 1 or 2 repetitions to increase and make it a little more challenge. When we do this side, then we're going to turn around and do the other side. Same thing. We can, as long as you can change the order, as long as you go all directions and challenge your balance on that. Another variation of that is more directed towards a balance exercise, is what we call stars. So I could stand on one leg, bend my knee, reach my toe forward, touch the ground. This is more advanced. So this is more if you're more active. So touching the tip of the ground forward, touch maybe 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, working all the way. Unfortunately, I've got my wall here, but I would move forward out and I'd go all the way around so that my leg is behind me, and then coming back at different points, coming back again. That's a star exercise for balance, which is really, really a higher level balance exercise, but an excellent exercise. So now we're going to do a strengthening exercise to work our quadricep muscles and our bum muscles. We're going to do a sit to stand, or a squat. in the gym, you'll see people doing this as a squat. Easiest way to do this is to, just like you're gonna sit in a chair, you're gonna sit down. Now, again, balance. I've got a bend at my waist. My bum is gonna go backwards like I was gonna sit down so I don't fall backwards. I'm gonna bend, come down, touch the chair, come back up. If that's too far, put cushions down on the chair to raise the height, so you're just coming down, touch, come back up, touch, come back up. When you're squatting, it's really important that your legs don't collapse inwards, that your knees stay square out so they don't collapse. And we're going to squat and come back up. Again, numbers will vary based on the individual. So you can do anywhere from 5 to 20. Now what we're going to do is leg curls or hamstring curls standing. So you can use, if your balance is good, you can just gently touch something or nothing at all, bringing the leg up and curling up and down. Or I could use the wall for balance. Again, if you're on a chair, using that for balance, I'm really worried about stability. So if you have reasonable balance, it's fine to use something as long as you're not going to fall. But I don't like the risk of falling. When we lower the leg down, you're going to curl up nice and slow, and then come down a little faster is harder. Curl up and drop. Curl up, drop, and control. The reason you're dropping and controlling is it's actually working that hamstring, the muscles in the back of the leg, a little more. Now, if you're finding that you're getting sore in the back, or you get leg pain because you might have, you might be over 65 and your back you get that sharp shooting pain in the legs, you may want to take a countertop, bend forward so that you're opening up the back, opening up the spinal canal, and now you're doing a drop down. So you're doing the same thing with a little bit of flexed posture, which will take stress off the back. If you're under 60s, 65-ish and under, you don't really want to do that as much. You want to try and maintain this good posture. But if you have what's been called a stenosis, then you may want to do a little bit of a bend or tighten, always tighten the tummy when you're doing these exercises. That'll help to stabilize your back. But that's a whole different set of talks that we have on that. So remember just to tighten a little bit. Just tighten, hold that position, and drop, okay? Now, the other thing that you can do is hip extension. So the whole leg backwards. It's kind of like what we were doing here already, but this is, again, if I give this to people who are senior, I will tend to have them bend and support onto a counter. So if I was on a countertop or on a tabletop and supporting, and just doing hip extension, because again, holding the tummy tight and not arching the back. So they just bring the leg out a ways and then bringing it back. So you can work your balance. I can do it without touching. But now I'm not extending that to narrow that canal down, okay?